first language is English. Bengali, because it's my native language. I also speak Spanish, but I also speak Japanese enough to get by. For a lot of languages like English and Japanese, I could relate them because the cultures in Japan and English were sort of similar in the respect of technology. So when I was in Japan for the first 5 years of my life, I was able to experience the advanced technology, cars, fast trains, and when I came to the US, I was accustomed to all this type of technology. So the language for me personally was that I could take the language that I learned in Japan and the same connotations sort of influence how I learned English when I first came. I'm really comfortable interacting in English for sure. Bengali is my native language. I talk to my grandfather and grandmother every time. I can speak Spanish at a pretty moderate level, and Japanese, I'm probably going to have to take a class for that here to experience more. Oh, definitely. When I speak in Bengali, I think of more of my ethnicity, my culture, and the pride that my parents have in their country. So I have a certain amount of respect. And then when I transition to English, I think of the more of the education aspect of it, the more intellectual aspect of me, because I was able to grow up here. I went to school here since kindergarten, and so I shift thinking from intellectual to someone who's really cultured when I switch from English to Bengali. Yes, to a certain degree. So I mostly feed off certain languages, so I take the perspectives that I learn in Bengali and apply to English. And so one example is that the way I view my culture, the pride I take into how I view school and how I conduct my interaction with other people. So when I speak in English, I have that sense, that same sense of respect and also confidence when I speak with my relatives back home. So it does affect to some degree, but then I also see that some languages don't really have too much of a link. So when I transition from when I used to speak Bengali to people in Japan, some of them who knew Bengali, they didn't really quite get it, and because the cultures weren't really similar enough. So I think it has to do with cultures and similarities between them. To some degree, I think there is a language barrier, because I think it all goes back to the culture of said language. Some languages have similar cultures, similar interactions with people, so there isn't really too much of a language barrier. But if you were to take a person from country X and put them in country Y, and they have no similarities, there is going to be a language barrier. My relatives, especially my aunt from Bangladesh, when she came into the U.S., she never saw a U.S. bank before, but her husband works in a Bengali bank, and so when she went to a U.S. bank for the first time, she didn't know what to do because it was so different, and she couldn't speak because she's not fluent in English, but there was completely a language barrier in that respect. But then some people, like my mom's professors from Japan, they come to the U.S. and they speak fluently to English businessmen. So I believe it depends on the language. and the culture associated with the language. Thank you.